Ashwagandha, also known as Indian ginseng, and a bunch of other names, is a really popular dietary supplement, mostly renowned for its anti-stress, anti-anxiety, and even sleep-promoting effects. And while there is research on ashwagandha helping reduce stress and anxiety and a host of other things, what do you need to be aware of if you take any medications? In other words, does ashwagandha potentially interact with medications you might be taking? There is some research on this, so let's take a look at some of the types of prescription medications and supplements that you might want to be aware of before you take the ashwagandha supplements. So ashwagandha has the potential to lower blood sugar levels, and this potential for lowering blood sugar might have an additive effect for people who are taking diabetes medications such as metformin, the result of which would be blood sugar that would go even lower than you would want it to. Now, while that's pretty concerning, I do want to point out that the majority of this research stems from clinical studies involving laboratory animals and isolated cells in a petri dish. So as for people who are taking diabetes medications, whether it be insulin, metformin, Ozempic, or other conditions out there, there's just not a lot of definitive research on humans that show that ashwagandha plus diabetes medicines lowers blood sugar more than you want it to. Now, that doesn't mean you don't pay attention to this, but I would suggest you either talk to your doctor and pharmacist or you measure your blood sugar regularly if you're taking both ashwagandha and diabetes medications. Next up, let's talk about ashwagandha's potential to alter blood pressure. So there is some research suggesting that ashwagandha might lower both systolic blood pressure and diastolic blood pressure. That's the top number and the bottom number of the blood pressure reading. This in turn raises some concerns that ashwagandha might have a even greater effect in those who are also taking blood pressure lowering medications such as beta blockers or calcium channel blockers or even diuretics. In other words, the combined effect of both blood pressure medications and ashwagandha might cause blood pressure to go lower than you really want it to. Now, while that is concerning, I wasn't able to find any conclusive proof that ashwagandha and blood pressure medicines were detrimental to the health of human beings with hypertension. Now, that doesn't mean you don't pay attention to this. Rather, it just means that we need more research on ashwagandha's effect of lowering blood pressure in people who have hypertension. Now, let's switch gears for a moment and talk about the effect of ashwagandha supplements on the immune system. In one clinical investigation, healthy people were given 60 milligrams of ashwagandha each day for 30 days. And it was noted that the ashwagandha supplement caused an increase in various immune system defenses, such as natural killer cells, antibodies, and cytokines. And again, this happened after just 30 days of use. Now, I know that stimulating the immune system is really popular right now. However, let's take a step back and consider people who don't want to have an overstimulated immune system. For example, what about people who have had organs transplanted into their bodies? They need to take suppression medications so their immune systems don't attack that new organ. What might this also mean for people with rheumatoid arthritis or other autoimmune diseases, such as type 1 diabetes? So because we have at least one human clinical trial showing that ashwagandha appears to stimulate the immune system in healthy people, those who are not so healthy, such as, again, autoimmune disorders or those who have received organ tissue transplants, they really need to be careful and really need to talk to their doctor and pharmacist before they take ashwagandha supplements. Now, ashwagandha is sometimes also used to help people sleep better at night, and there is some research on this as well. For example, see my previous video on the ashwagandha insomnia research. Now, because ashwagandha seems to have these sleep-inducing, sedative effects, this in turn raises the concerns of some that the herb might also interact with things like sleeping pills, as well as dietary supplements like, for instance, melatonin, perhaps even tryptophan and glycine. And while the human research on this is not as much as I would like it to be, based on the potential for some really serious side effects, it's probably wise to talk to your doctor before you take ashwagandha if you take these types of medications or supplements. Now, one aspect of ashwagandha that is starting to get people's attention is the potential of this herb to improve symptoms of hypothyroidism. I'll link to my more detailed video that discusses this research. However, in short, there is evidence that ashwagandha supplements not only lower TSH levels, thyroid stimulating hormone levels, but also raise thyroid hormone levels as well. Now, while that sounds really good on the surface, what might this mean for people who are taking thyroid medication such as Synthroid, also known as levothyroxine? What I'm getting at here is it possible that ashwagandha plus thyroid medication might cause thyroid hormone levels to go too high, causing the opposite effect to occur, hyperthyroidism? Another thing to think about is ashwagandha has the potential to alter thyroid blood tests that your doctor would perform. In other words, you really want to tell your doctor you're taking ashwagandha before you get a hypothyroidism blood test. Oh, and another supplement that's really popular right now for hypothyroidism is black seeds, Nigella sativa. There is also research that black seeds appear to alter thyroid hormone levels and TSH levels. If you're also taking black seeds and ashwagandha, this could also affect your thyroid hormone blood tests as well. Again, I'll link to my videos on black seeds and hypothyroidism so you could learn more about that research. Okay, so what if you're healthy and you're not taking any medications? Should you have any concerns for ashwagandha? And the answer is really no. It doesn't appear at this point in time to have any downsides. Now, if you're thinking about taking an ashwagandha supplement, there are a bunch out there. Just do a search for it. You'll find all kinds of dietary supplements that have it. I would look at supplements that have been third-party tested, because then you'll know that they've went through some independent laboratory testing to show that they have the amount of ashwagandha in them. While yeah, there's a lot of different types out there, when I look at dietary supplements for this herb, there are two proprietary patented formulas out there that I see a lot in supplements. One is called KSM66 and another one is called Sensoreal. Both of these patented forms of ashwagandha show up in dietary supplements a lot, and for good reason. Both of them have several clinical trials showing that they have beneficial effects in both people and laboratory animals. Oh, and one more thing, how much ashwagandha really does work. So the research studies basically are all over the place in terms of dosages. However, if you look at the totality of this research, they're looking at between 500 and 1,000 milligrams of ashwagandha daily. However, I would not start off by taking a big, gigantic amount of ashwagandha right off the bat. Start with less, at least for the first week. Give your body time to adjust to this new supplement you're going to take. Do not go by what the company recommends you take, because we don't know where they're getting their data from. Also, taking that dosage 2 or maybe even 3 times a day is probably going to be preferable to only taking one large amount once a day.